Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Pastor J.D. White, the senior pastor of the Greater Olivet Baptist Church here in Detroit, Michigan. This is the city of faith and the place where faith wins. I want to take this time to welcome you to the LYFE broadcast, where we believe that faith is just not a saying, but rather it is a lifestyle. I am of the opinion that we as believers in Christ, if we need anything, then what we need more of is faith in God. I want to encourage you. I want to let you know. I want to inform you. I want to announce to the world that not only will God do it, but God will do it for you. Do me a favor. Say to yourself, God will do it for me. Let's jump into the broadcast, and I'll see you at the end.
I'm going to open up your Bibles. Open up your Bibles. We are in the book of Matthew. Chapter number 8. Grateful. Next week we're going to go to the water one more time. We're going to baptize PJ. Y'all put your hands together for Kate. Next week, we're going to take Peyton to the water. Peyton going to do one or two things. He's either going to prove that the water got power. He's going to prove that every now and again, maybe we need to go down more than once. I look at everybody, I'm like, when I get older and get ready to give this thing up, age is going to be the one to take it over. All mine. They're like, my daddy, listen. You can have it. You can have it. Peyton and grandpa. Book of Matthew, chapter number 8. We're at verse number 23. Here's what it says. Now, when he got into a boat, his disciples followed him. Is that right? Suddenly, a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves. He was asleep. Then his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us. We are perishing. He said to them, why are you fearful, O you little faith? He arose and rebuked the wind and the sea, and there was a great calm. So men marveled, saying, who can this be? Even the winds and the sea obey him. You can be seated. We are continuing in this last installment, if you will, of a frustrated Christ. Everybody say a frustrated Christ. I am still of the opinion that one of the frustrations that you can have in life with those who are around you, Deacon Pitts, is to be connected to people who see you but don't know you. I'll say it again. One of the frustrations that I have in life is, Deacon Gerald, you can be connected to people who see you but don't know you. I mean, yeah, they know your name. They have your phone number. They may even know your address. They may have even stopped by your home, may share the same bloodline as you, but they don't know you. You may know a piece of me. You may have an idea of me. You may have heard things about me, but you don't know me. We see this sometimes because have you ever come across a person who has heard something about you that they took to be the gospel, and when they begin to learn of you on their own, they're like, maybe you're not as bad as I thought you was, simply because you took the time to get to know me. And so the truth of the matter, church, is that it can be a rather frustrating experience to do life with people who see you but don't know you. Do I got anybody who can identify to some people that you grew up with, some people in your family you got the same bloodline with, and even though they see you, even though they have an idea of you, they still have no idea of who you are. That's one of the reasons, church, that I tell my children, one, you don't have to steal anything, because if you know me, then you know you have a father who will buy you everything. So the worst thing you could do is steal. But to take it a step further, the worst thing you could do, or even worst thing that you could do, is steal from me, because if you really know me, all you really have to do is ask. And there are sometimes, church, where people will find themselves going through a whole lot of hardship simply because simply because they don't know you. Such as it is with God, where sometimes we'll find ourselves in situations where we are going through much more hardship than what we really should go through, simply because we don't know God. I know we know of him. I know we know of his goodness. I know we know of his grace. And I know that we know of his mercy. I know we know of his work. I know we know of his miracles. I know we know of his acts. But when you really know him, then what you understand above all else is that you serve a God that at the end of the day, when life is failing you, you ain't got to go to ask anybody for anything, because you can always just ask him. You got any Bible to back it up? Sure I do. The Bible says, ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door shall be open. Seek and you shall find. And I suggest to you on the day, church, that sometimes the hardship that we encompass in life is simply because we are going about life the wrong way. We are going about life as if we know of God, instead of really asking God to do what it is we need him to do. Can I tell you, here is the secret, that if you look at your life and there is an area of your life where you need to come up, do me a favor, say, God, I need to come up. If you look at an area of your life and you need to come up in any area, here is the answer. Just ask. And I promise you, God says, if you ask me, I'll give it to you, because I'm a good father. Here's my question to you, church. What have you asked God to do lately? Can I tell you that sometimes the reason that we run into calamity in our lives is simply because we ask God the first time and it works, but then we stop asking God from then on. And Mother Betty, I am learning how to simply be selfish, and I'm saying in this next season of my life, I'm going to ask God for more. I'm going to keep on asking God until God is like, you're getting on my nerves. I'm going to keep on asking and 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 asking, because I am crazy enough to believe, Deacon Gerald, that the more I ask, the more he'll do. And the more I ask, the more he'll do. And if God is anything like me, here's what I do, y'all. I have my oldest daughter, Anaya, is now Deacon Pitts in the 10th grade. She's in the 10th grade, and she does not like to eat food at lunch. Now, I understand she's playing me, even though she doesn't think I know that she's playing me, but I know that she's playing me. And so here is what Anaya does every day, Monday through Friday. Anaya will ask me to cash at her some money because here it is, she just Mother Betty wants to buy from the school store. And in as much junk as I talk every single day, Monday through Friday, I send my baby a cash app because she's a good daughter and I like to believe I'm a good father. So much so that here's what happens now. Every Sunday, I cash at her enough money for the week, so much so she ain't even got to ask because she's trained me how to provide for her even before she asks. Do I got anybody under the sound of my voice that can declare in this season of my life, I'm just going to keep asking God until God gets to me first. I'm going to keep asking God until God allows me to skip the line. I'm going to keep asking God until God does it for me before he does it for everybody else. And so here it is, a frustration, church, that God has is being connected to people who know of him, but they don't know him. Highlighting the text right here, we're able to see why, how disciples know of him, but they don't know him. Previous to verse 23, Jesus tells them, come on, pick up everything you got, leave everything behind, follow me. Disciples say, all right, Jesus, we rocking with you. I got anybody who knows what it is to have people say they're rocking with you, but then they doubt you every step of the way. So that's the situation where Jesus is. Here it is. He's sitting up here and he says, come on, follow. He's saying, come on and follow me. We get down to verse number 23. The Bible says, now when he got into a boat, the disciples followed him. Suddenly a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat covered with waves. He was asleep. Disciples came to him, woke him up, saying, Lord, save us, because we're perishing. Now, the first thing that we ought to highlight here is that what we must understand about God when you know him is simply that if God is God enough to take you to it, you have to know he's God enough to lead you through it. And one of the misconceptions about life in our relationship with God is that many times we think God is just God enough at the good, and that we forget about the fact that he's God enough even during our bad. Here it is, church. The disciples followed Jesus when it was good, and the moment darkness or hardship came to attack their relationship, they began to doubt God. And what this helps me to understand, you all, is that at the end of the day, if God, Mother Betty, is going to be God enough to invite me in, he's going to be God enough to carry me through. And that's what I want to leave you with, church. That's where I want to make sure that we understand. And that's that whatever is going on in your life, whatever God takes you to, he's God enough to lead you through it. I understand that it might be to a storm. I understand that it might be to a few crying days. I understand that it might be through some things that has your mind and your emotion all out of whack. But the reason you can be reassured that it's got to be all right on the other side is because God will not take you to what he cannot lead you through. And I'm so glad on today that no matter what life throws at me, there is not a hardship, there is not an infirmity, there is not a calamity or a pain that I have to endure by myself, because I serve a God that is not just my God when I'm on top of the mountain, but he's my God even when I'm down in the valley. You ain't anybody who knows what it is to serve God when you're down in the valley. It's easy to serve him when the sun is shining and the birds are chirping and it's money in the bank and your health is hitting on all cylinders. But wait until you get down in the valley. That's church to God that I'm I'm so glad that I don't serve a God that's just God in the mountain, but when life happens and I find myself on bended knees, I serve a God that's not afraid of the valley. I know I got friends that leave me when the valley comes. I got family that turn their backs on me when the valley comes. We'll have people that leave out the door when the valley comes. But thanks be on the God that time in the valley, he says, that's when I do my best work. The disciples, all they do is run to a small valley. Things are fine. Things are good. Jesus says, come on. Small valley comes. Next thing you know, in their minds, all hell. Do me a favor. Say self. Don't overanalyze. Look at. Now, it's right in the text. I know. See, I know many of y'all overanalyze. So y'all don't see it, but I'm gonna help y'all right here. And highlight it right in the text. All right. Get your Bible if you go. Open it up. Get your phone. I want y'all to see it so y'all know I ain't making it up. It's in there. Get your phone. All right. Get your Bible. Matthew 8, verse number 23. Now, when he got into a boat, y'all saw that? Y'all see that? His disciples did what? I went on. See, y'all ain't always gonna do that. Make sure y'all was looking at it. What does disciples do? Follow him. And suddenly, what does the Bible say? A great what? Tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was what? All right? Think about this, y'all. They're on a boat. The tempest is nothing more than a rainstorm. Now, understand, boat. They're on a boat. Water is coming into the boat. Why? Because the boat doesn't have a cover. If you don't have a cover and water is coming down, water's going to get in the boat and you're going to get wet. Right? Does that make sense? Perfect sense, right? Look at verse number 26. Then his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us. Why? Because we're perishing. You're really just in a rainstorm. But you're saying, Lord, save me because I'm dying. I'll say it again. You're really just in a rainstorm. Y'all say, Lord, save me because I'm dying. Now, I want y'all to understand that this story here is a little bit different than the other time that Jesus had told them, come on, let's go to the other side. Because in that story, or at least water was coming into the bottom of the boat. You see, understand, y'all, at this point in the text, this is not the same story. There is no water coming in from the bottom of the boat, which means that there is no indication that the water is even going to sink the ship. But here it is, because they are overanalyzing the situation, even though they are with God, they've already said, listen, we're going to die, even though all they're really doing is getting wet. And can I tell you, church, that there comes some times in your life where you have to make sure that you do not, or that rather you understand the difference between the storms of life that are simply going to get you wet versus the storms of life that are coming to actually take you out. Because you don't want to take out energy to water with storms. Can I tell you, church, that's why for some of us, our emotional compass is like the leaves in the air. It's because everything gets the same energy. But I tell you, there are some things that I need to learn. That there are some moments in my life, Maria, where I need to cry out, Lord, save me. And then there are other moments where I simply need to put up an umbrella. And you got to make sure that you are not getting Lord save me energy when he's like, just go and put up the umbrella. This ain't that. You better make sure that you learn how to use your Lord save me in the right way. That's my frustration here with the disciples, Mother Bear. They are fishermen, and all of a sudden, this ain't the first time you done been in a boat. This ain't the first time you done been in a storm. This is your trade. And sometimes, church, you gotta lean. You gotta learn to lean on what it is you already know. Instead of always trying to go and look for some different answers. God is like, the reason I can sleep is simply because I trust that you all already know how to deal with this. And can I tell you that sometimes when it looks like God is silent in your life, it's simply because he's forcing you to trust what he's already taught you. He said, I'm not silent because I forgot about you, but rather I'm silent because you already know how to handle it. Oh, God. He says, I'm silent because child, you don't need me. You just need to pray. And you don't need no words because you already know how. So now just trust that you already know what to do. And watch that when you do it, I'll show up for you. Do I got anybody in here that can declare I got to learn how to trust my own Holy Ghost? I got to learn how to trust the God in me. I got to learn how to depend on what I already know. I mean, most of us, we have been in church all of our lives. You can tell there's just some stuff that God now can trust me with. He can trust me with how to pray. He can trust me with how to call on his name. There is some stuff, church, that God now can just trust me with. He says, don't overanalyze, because when you overanalyze, you will mess around and give away a lot of unnecessary wasted emotion. Because, as the one writer said, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Right? Anybody who can think back to a moment in your life and be like, yeah, that's been me. 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 Hear it in church, because sometimes, Deacon Jeremy, God has to allow certain situations to come. One, because he trusts us, but also because we have to learn how to trust us. Sometimes, church, our relationship with God is so wrapped up into other people that if those other people don't exist, we question and wonder about where our relationship with God would really be. I know we can shout over the fact, Deacon Gerald, that my mother prayed for me and had me on her mind and took the time to pray for me. But there is a point in time in my relationship with God where I'm going to have to learn how to pray without my mother. Here it is. Here's why. Because there are some things that I just don't want my saintly mother to know about. And so, if there are some things that I don't want my saintly mother to know about, how in the world could my mother pray about everything that I want her to pray for? Because there are some things that got to stay between me and God. Don't act like I'm the only one. Anybody who knows what it is to just know that there are some things that just got to stay between you and God. I mean, listen, I don't want no friend to know, my mama to know, my daddy to know. I don't care how close we are. There are some people, there are some things that just got to stack between me and God. And so the question becomes, is that if my prayer life, worship life, God life, Christ life, church life is only predicated upon somebody else? What happens when what I'm dealing with is something that I don't want them to know? So he says, I trust you to be able to handle the storm. But the frustration that I have with you is that you don't trust you. That is. I don't know if you've ever sat down with your child trying to do homework. And here it is. If you've ever sat down with your child trying to do homework, here it is. It is a frustrating experience at times, not because, Mother Betty, they don't know the answers, but because they're always doubting themselves when they know the answers just fine. You sit up here and say, what's 2 plus 2? And they'll look at you. And you'll say, what is 2 plus 2? And they'll just stare at you. And you're like, you already know the answer. What is 2 plus 2? And then they'll say 4. And then you'll say yes. Why in the world are you hesitating? You already know what the answer is. And can I tell you that the next time you do homework, which might be this week, don't sit there and get frustrated with your baby when God is trying to do life work with you. And he's just as frustrated with you as you are with him. He's right there. And he's saying what you're supposed to do in this situation. And you're looking up at him. And he's like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? And you're looking up at him. And he's saying, what are you supposed to do in this situation? And you say, pray. And he said, why in the world are you acting crazy when you've seen it all your life? He's saying, what scripture are you supposed to quote right here? And you're looking up at him. You're saying, what in the world? What scripture are you supposed to quote right here? And you're looking up at him. He's saying, what in the scripture are you supposed to quote right here? You're like, the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. And he's like, why in the world are you acting crazy? He's like, it looks all bad, but what's the remedy for this? And you're looking up at him. He says it looks all bad, but what's the remedy for this? And you're looking up at him. And he says, what is the remedy when it looks all bad? And you say, and we know that all things work together. Come on, Greg, this is a good Memorial Day message. We can close right here. I said, and we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God and are called according to his purpose. Great out of it. And farewell. I'm gonna let you go home to your barbecue. But before I go, I got a question that I want to ask. Yes, sir. Yes. But before I go, I got a question to ask. Is there anybody here that's made up in their mind? I'm gonna hang on to what I know about God. That's why when I leave here, I'm gonna go to my mother. I'm gonna sit down with my mother. I'm gonna say, Mama, what is the remedy? What's the remedy for pain? And the remedy for death? And because she's filled with grief, she's gonna look at me and say, I don't know. I'm gonna say, Mama, what is the remedy for pain and death? She's gonna look at me. She's gonna say, I don't know. I'm gonna say, what is the remedy for pain and death? And I believe it'll come that time. She'll say, weeping may endure but for a night. Joy! 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 He died.
Listen, I pray that you all have enjoyed this episode of Living Your Faith Every Day. On the screen, you're going to be able to find all of our information, our giving information. You'll be able to find how to connect with us, and you can catch us each and every week at this exact same time. Every Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. We'll be right here living our faith. I'm Pastor J.D. White. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be blessed.